Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, good afternoon. Welcome back to Friday at 4 podcast series. How are you?
All right, Chuck, how you doing today?
Hanging in there. It's been a pretty busy day. How about
Well,
yourself?
that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, busy on all the other things beside my business, but hey,
But you're busy. So,
Yep.
okay.
So I before we get started, I want to say, so I saw this post the other day about if you work a 9 to 5, don't forget your 5 to 9 for your business. And I'm like, that's brilliant. So if I'm up at
It
5
is.
a.m. and I work till 5 p.m., my 5 to 9 is not the norm. So I got to figure that out.
No, but if you're doing the 9 to 5, building somebody else's dream, then you build yours between 5 and 9. That's kind of the idea behind it, I think.
Yeah, that's the idea. But when you're up at 5 o'clock and you're working all day, you got to get your time in, right?
Days get long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Short-term gain, short-term pain for long-term gain.
This is lots of pain for the long-term gain. I'm in it for the long haul, man. We're gonna
You
make it.
go.
We're gonna make it.
There you go.
Yeah, we're gonna make it.
Good.
So what do you got today?
So, I've been kicking around some stuff for a while, and one of the things that kind of draw my attention because the economy, and we all know, is not as good as we are told it's supposed to be. And again, my opinion on here's my caveat that I say every single week, which is two guys giving our opinions. We're not tied to anybody, so you're hearing what we really feel. Um, may not be what you want to hear, but from us, it's going to be the truth. So, having said that,
Absolutely.
um, the economy is not as good as it is supposed to be. I mean, you see people being unemployed, you see prices going crazy in the supermarkets. I mean, it's not what it's going to be. It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And so much difference between grocery prices and gas prices around the country. So that's a
right,
whole other topic of discussion. But I want
right.
to throw that out there real fast so our listeners
Yeah,
here and on live on TikTok and they can understand what we're getting at when you talk
yeah,
about what we're going to talk about. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Different cities, different towns, depending on where your nearest oil refinery is, could impact the price, whether they have to truck it 1,000 miles or it's around the corner. Trucking food in. I mean, all these things factor in. Greed of the
greed.
owner of the supermarket, the gas station, whatever. There's a whole
It's
bunch
so
of reasons
true.
why.
It's so
Um,
true.
and it's out of our control to put it nicely. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, so one of the things that kind of drew my attention um, is this thing called side hustles.
Yeah.
And the last statistic I saw by chance, I don't go looking for this stuff. I really don't. Okay. But the last thing
He said,
that
just let me
came,
tell you, I don't go digging for that. It just happened to pop
I
up.
just, no, this is not, I just not my thing, but it came across and it said something like 80 million people in the US are looking for a side hustle,
Yeah.
which is insane.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, there are numerous reasons why. Some of those people could have lost the job and are looking to do something part-time until they land full-time.
In between, right? Yeah,
In
yeah, yeah. The in
between,
between.
just have
Yeah.
some money coming in and
Yeah.
how they get paid and stuff, and it deals with unemployment issue I am not touching because it's a hot button. Um,
I'm like,
I'm not touching that line.
it's a whole other
Um,
conversation on Friday at 4.
Another conversation.
Right.
There are people who are working who just want some extra money to do these extra things that they can't otherwise.
Yeah.
Then there are people who are not making enough money and need just to pay the bills. So
Which
this,
is and that's sad too, right? Because now you have there's a whole generation of people who just, they
right,
can't live anymore. You can't survive unless you have two, three
right,
jobs and three or
right.
four people living with you, right?
Well, in that category, there are again, according to me, not anybody else, okay, there
The
are
Steve
two.
stats.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that nobody comes down to me and says, you said,
You
um,
said, yeah.
in that category, there's the people who are not making enough, or no, who are making money and are overspending. Or then there's the people who are not making or are making money, but normal everyday expenses exceed income. So your food is
Yeah.
too expensive, your rent is too expensive, your car payment, your whatever. So you don't have enough and you're legitimately living lean. So there's
Yeah.
all kinds of different reasons why. And again, I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. It's just this is what it is.
It's the new American way, right?
It
It's
is.
just, it's how it is. Yeah.
It
Unfortunately.
is.
Yeah.
It is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Um, so people are going in the direction of I need to, again, for whatever reason, of those reasons, I need to make more money. And there's a million different things that people can do. And I would say every single one of them requires some type of effort because nobody's just going to give you money just because you say, hey, I need $100. Here's $100. Nah, I don't think too many people are going to do that. So,
Yeah.
regardless of what you want to do or think about doing, you're going to have to put some effort in. Now, if you're going to do a side hustle, you could work for somebody else. You could, and again, I'm just throwing this out there. You could work in a fast food. You could, um, I don't know, sweep floors. You could work on somebody's hot dog cart. You could, work in a car dealership. You could do any number of a million different things. That's working for somebody else. Now, what that does is it will bring some money in, which is the reason you're doing a side hustle. Quite frankly, you're not doing it for your health. You're doing it to make money.
Yeah.
But what it
Yeah, there's a
also,
reason and a purpose behind that, needing that second job, that side hustle, because
correct.
obviously something's not adding up number wise, or you're not satisfied, fulfilled, whatever the case may be. Because, like you said, we don't want to judge, people who are working a second job or looking for a side hustle. We don't want to, say that, well, this is why you should do it or why you are doing it,
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that could be for any reason. The bottom
Yeah.
line is you need some money to either live and do stuff you want to do. You need to pay bills, pay credit cards down, whatever, but you need to make some money, which is why you're doing this.
Right.
But in doing that and working in whatever for somebody else, what you're doing is you're continuing to build somebody else's dream. But if that's your only choice and it serves your purpose of getting extra money, okay, you can overlook it because you have that bill you have to pay. You got to put food on the table. You got to put gas in the car, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the other side of getting a side hustle is you may want to think about potentially opening a business. So a
Entrepreneurship,
side
right?
hustle
Yeah.
can be used to, um, I'm going to work in a dealership. I'm going to make some money part time, but I'm going to learn how a dealership works because at some point down the road, I want to own a dealership. I
Yeah.
want to own a McDonald's. I want to own some business. So this could be used as a way to get some experience without having to put up the money to open a business, without having to have the skills coming in to open a business. It could be any number of things, but you're using somebody else to get that experience. So now, yes, you're still building somebody else's dream, but now you're also starting to build your own dream. So it really now serves two purposes.
Yeah.
So if at some point you decide that you want to go that route of learning to potentially open a business, there are three things, again, what I'm thinking. There are three things that you need to do to open a business down the road. You need to realize that if you're going to open that business for a product or service, there has to be a need for that service. You know, there may not be a need to sweep the floor, but there may be a need to um, help elderly people transport from one location to another because they don't have a car. There's a need for that business. So there's got to be a need. Then whatever product or service you're coming up with has to fill that need. So if you're thinking, I'm going to transport people from location A to location B, because again, they're elderly, they're disabled, they don't have a car, that's the need. The product or service that you're offering is you have to have the car. You got to have something so that you can transport that person. You can't put them on a bus. Okay, it doesn't quite work that way. Um,
E-bike.
and the third thing, yeah, and the third thing you need is whatever you come up with has to be recession proof. There has to be that need. So in that example, whether the economy is really good or really bad, in that example, those people have to go from point A to point B, and they got to get there whether the economy is good or bad. Okay. You know, you may say, I'm going to open a high-end restaurant. I'm using this as a pure example. You may say, I'm going to open a high-end restaurant. So there's a need in that neighborhood for a high-end restaurant. The restaurant's going to fill the need because people want that. They want that type of food. They're willing to pay the money. But is it really recession proof? When the economy's really bad, people tend to cut back. You're still going to have some guests, but maybe not enough to cover your expenses. Then you end up closing.
Yeah.
Economy's good. Yeah, people flock to it. That's great. But is it recession proof? So to me, those are the three things that you really need to have if you're going to side hustle and learn the business to potentially open one.
Right. And that's a good point too, right? We talked about this before in a couple episodes back, about your dream and your thoughts
Hmm.
about you wanting that type of business, right? So we talked about, hey, look, if you're going to do this, but you got to be all in because if you do something and 6 months down the road, you're like, well, this isn't fun anymore. And then you quit. Because it happens so much we hear, it's like a 90%, you know, uh, rate of people who fail in
In
small
year one,
business.
in year one,
It's
90%
so
of people fail.
Yeah, and it goes out to 5 years. People don't make it to
Hmm.
5 years. Either it's because of cash flow,
Hmm.
revenue, or a
Yep.
passion, something's
Yep.
not working right, and it's something that people really got to understand that you got to be in it to win it. If this is something you want to do it
Yeah.
and stick to it.
Right.
You got to be all in, you know?
Yep. So the example for what you just said, and I've said this on a number of shows or a number of episodes, I had a business that I opened up. It doesn't matter what kind. I opened up a business. I didn't have the cash flow. My business failed in 2 years. It was a great service. Everybody that used the service had great things to say, benefited, and the whole thing. But the
Yeah,
cash flow wasn't there. So the idea of if you're going to do a side hustle for more than just to make some money, that you're looking bigger picture,
yeah,
be careful what you try to do and what you think about. Get to
yeah,
know somebody's business. Um,
yeah.
a little at a time. They're not going to open the doors and give you the keys on day one. But
Sure.
if you're there 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you get to know them, they get to trust you. They're going to maybe show you more and more things. So you're going
Mhm.
to get in under the covers to see what really happens. It's not just, hi, Mr. or Miss Customer, welcome to the store. Here's my product or service. You really want to
Yeah.
get in behind the scenes. And once you start doing that, you may say, oh, I like the part-time side hustle money. Let me keep it that way. Or you can say, I like it enough. I want to keep learning more and more, and then
Yeah.
potentially break away and open up.
I got a
There's
great
no,
story for that. When I first started, obviously I was scammed, into mystery shopping back in 2006. And it cost me $1 on a credit card and they scammed me. But it gave me a list and it gave me a website that was very useful back in the day. And that landed me into the right direction to a legit company who
Got it.
got me into legit companies.
Hmm.
So that's how I got started. And I was working for all these companies doing mystery shopping.
Mm,
And yeah, and I found out that I was getting all tens of my reports. They were calling
mm,
me at home saying, "Hey, Chuck, we want you to do this job for us. We're paying extra if you can do it like in 5 minutes." I'd be out cutting grass. I'm like, "Oh, okay, hang on." I go, jump in my
mm.
car and go.
Yeah.
But I've made such good money doing it
Mm,
that I said I can do this. And I'll tell you that whole story about why I went the route I did at a different time because it's a
mm,
long story. But to make this quick and short for our podcast, you know, it led me to I want to do this for myself. And
mm.
because I had all the knowledge, I was learning from these companies, but it
Got it.
really took a lot of hard work to figure out how to do this on my own. Nobody was willing to tell me or
Right.
show me how to do it. I had to figure it out. And I did. I was successful for 5 years. Of course, we know what happened, divorce, close the business, and moving on. But,
Mm.
that's a success story of, turning a side hustle into your business,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one of the things, and I'm going to go off topic for a little bit here. Um, and I think we've talked about this a little bit too, way back. If you're going to open a business, don't make the mistake I made when I opened my business. And
Yeah.
that is when I opened up, um, it was a franchise and there was a price tag to open up and whatever dollars, let's call it $100,000. What I should have done, but nobody told me, which is why I'm mentioning it here. Nobody told me put 20% down and do what they call OPM, other people's money. Put 20% down, finance the 80%. Nobody told me that. So I put the whole 100,000 down. That was all the money I had.
All you
I didn't
had.
know any
Yeah.
better. So now, 2 years into it, I did not draw a salary. I lived on savings, which were now wiped out, but I had to pay
Yeah.
the rent, had to pay the utilities, had to pay the staff, had to pay the insurances, had to pay and pay and pay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know enough. So if you decide you want to go into business, and by all means, make sure it's the right one, but go into business. As an employee, you'll never have the satisfaction. You'll never make all the money you want to make. You'll never do all the things you want to do in life working for somebody else.
Yeah.
And you will work hard, but it's all yours. Um, but make sure you ask first. Get multiple people's advice.
Yeah.
And part of that advice that I'm going to give you now, don't talk to Uncle Johnny, Aunt Mary. If they have no experience,
Right.
please get another opinion.
Steve, I'm glad you mentioned that because this is 2025 and there ain't nobody in the family giving you money to help your business anymore. They would rather see you fail than help you,
But even
you
if they
know?
don't give you the money,
Yeah.
they're going to give you the advice. Hey, Chuck, I
Yeah, but
think you should do this.
yeah.
Well, the question then becomes, does Uncle Johnny, sorry about any Uncle Johnnies out there,
Sorry.
but
Sorry,
Uncle
Uncle John.
Johnny, Uncle Johnny, you're telling me to do this, but do you have any experience doing
Yeah.
that? And if the answer is no, don't listen to them because they don't understand what you're doing and the ramifications to it. Because when it goes south and you go back to Uncle Johnny left town and didn't leave a forwarding address. You'll never
Yep.
find him because he knows he messed up.
He knows he messed
He
up.
knows he messed up. So always ask, um, get different people's opinions, look at professionals, read books. The internet, maybe, because anybody can put anything up there, whether it's right or wrong, because nobody's monitoring it. So be careful what you get off the internet and how much you trust it.
Yeah. Yeah. And real quick to our, we're live here on TikTok as well, as I mentioned
Oh,
to you.
okay.
I'd like to, if anybody that's watching, if they have any advice, you want to chime in, by all means, let us know in the comments. We're open for discussion and and any kind
Mhm.
of advice to give us, But yeah, Uncle Johnny is out the picture.
Again, Uncle Johnny may be a great person. I'm not
Yeah,
knocking the Uncle Johnnies of the world. I'm not. But I
yeah.
am saying if you're going to get the advice, make sure they have the experience.
Get it from
If
a
they,
professional too, right? A good mentor, right? There's plenty of
yeah,
mentors out there in
get a
every
good
industry.
mentor.
Yeah,
One of the ways that you will find that somebody really wants you to succeed, they'll give you advice, but will they give you money towards the business?
yeah,
If they won't, they are not behind you. If
yeah,
they really believe in you, they'll give you whatever dollars, whatever percent of the business. But if they don't want to, you really have to think long and hard. Do they really want to see? And to the point that you said before, people who are not happy themselves don't want you to be happy.
1000%.
They will give you
Misery loves company.
they will give you bad advice.
Bad advice.
They will purposely steer you in the wrong direction. They're
Yeah,
not happy. They didn't make it. Therefore, you shouldn't make it.
yeah. True.
And it's unfortunate,
Yeah,
but that's the truth. That's the way it is. So
yeah,
when you start looking around and asking around, yes, you can ask people who are close to you, but also ask independent people. Do the
yeah,
research. How many
yeah.
people opened up this business, this type of business? How many people survived 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Do the research. Make sure there's, again, what we talked about before. If you're going to open up that restaurant, the example, open up that restaurant. Is there a similar type of restaurant within a certain radius?
Mhm.
Will they go for the price point that you have? Do they want the type of food that you have? Um, will it survive in good times and bad times? If you
And
don't,
not to pick on restaurants, and I use that as an example, but here's a good part to that too is are people in the area you're going to be, are they going to want that type of business? For example,
right,
if it's a seafood restaurant, are people in an area loving seafood or is it a burger area? Because
right,
you can plop down the seafood business and nobody shows up because, well, we all want burgers and tacos,
right,
you know?
right, right.
Yeah,
I mean, you can look at seafood versus um, the meat side. You can look at different ethnicities. Some areas are fish only, meat only, vegetables only.
right.
So you really,
Vegetarians, yeah,
yeah, so you really have to look at
yeah,
what's in the area. Is there, again, back to the thing, is there a need? Do you have the product or service to fill that need? And is it recession proof? You
yeah,
got to ask all three questions before you start dumping time and money into something. Because once you
yeah,
start in, money, you can somehow figure out how to get it back or get other money or something. But when you
yeah,
start investing all your time, you can't get that back. You
yeah,
can't. So when you go into something, and I am encouraging people to look and go do. I'm encouraging that. I'm not saying no. I'm just
yeah,
saying be smart, be wise, keep your eyes open. Don't make the
right.
mistake I made. I did not do that research and it cost me dearly. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to use my experience to help other people.
And not to poke at you and pride, but was it something that you thought it was 100% going to make it? So you put all your money, heart, blood, gut, and soul into it and said, I'm going to do this. And then all of a sudden it just went south.
Well, I did that. I brought in my cousin who had the
Uh-huh.
degrees with the specialty that I didn't have, so we were able to do it that way. But I also did the research into and again, I'm purposely not giving you the name of the company,
Yeah,
but I
yeah, yeah.
did the research into the company, and every single person that I spoke to um, didn't exactly tell me the truth.
Yeah.
And I asked the same questions to multiple people to judge the answers. And some of them were a little off, some of them were a mile and off.
Yeah.
And in the end, I opened up, and once I signed the papers, I'm committed.
Right. Committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for what happened, I should have been committed, but that's a different discussion.
Committed on one thing and committed on the
Yeah,
other.
but I learned the
Yeah,
hard way, and that's part of
yeah,
why I do what I do is to
yeah.
help people not make the mistakes I made.
And that's why we educate people here because we want people to watch our videos, watch our podcasts, because we're all about help. We're all about, giving us Steve and Chuck advice because we're semi into this and we kind of know what we're doing.
Right, right.
And we're given solid advice, but we're not professionals to give that professional advice. Yes, you seek certain counsels, but I mean, yeah, we
Mhm.
we pretty much or we're doing our thing, you
We
know?
are, we are.
Yeah.
I will put in a shameless plug if I'm allowed to do that, but I'm doing it anyway. Um, okay, I'm doing it anyway.
Do it
It's
again.
our
That's
show.
it.
We
Every
can do this,
episode.
right?
Yeah.
Um, we talked about side hustles. Um, I am looking for people who want a side hustle.
Side hustle. Nice.
You have to, all you need to do is no criminal record. You need a social security number. Beyond that, we can talk.
Wow. And how do we contact you if any of our listeners, want to work with
Yeah,
Steve or find out what Steve's
yeah.
about? He's in the financial
It's
industry,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
It's Steve at stevekentfs.com. The FS is financial services. So it's Steve at
Yeah.
stevekentfs.com.
Yeah. That's good. And my business too, look, if you want to, get paid to do reviews, help out with social media, I've got some openings as well, reach out to me, Chuck at QACteam.com, and check me out. Absolutely. We can use the help. Absolutely.
No, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And as we always say, if anybody has any questions, comments, let us know. We want to hear from you. This is not just us talking. We want your opinions. We want to know what you're thinking. And then we'll talk
Yeah.
about whatever those topics are so that we can
Yeah.
continue to add value to the audience. That's our
Yep.
goal, just to add value.
Absolutely. And, again, as I say almost every episode now, if you want to join us, reach out. You can reach out to me through my Calendly link on the website.
Mhm.
And I'll put you in the show. You can talk with us. You can come in live with us and join the show. Absolutely.
Yeah,
We'll have a
good
guest
stuff.
next week as well. So I want to mention
All
that.
right.
So,
Good
yeah.
stuff. Looking forward
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right,
All
Steve.
right.
In closing, what do you got?
What do I got? Be smart. Um,
Do your homework.
build your own dream, not somebody else's. That's my goal, whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
You want to talk to us, contact us, we'll talk to you. There's never a charge for us to talk. We want to hear from you, we want to help you. Everything is confidential, it's complimentary. So yeah, so that's my thing.
Awesome. Yeah. Good stuff. Another great episode at Friday at 4
Yep.
because
It's 4 o'clock somewhere. It's Friday
got
at 4 somewhere.
Friday at 4 and it's 4 o'clock somewhere. Boom. You
Someone's
got
in
it.
there somewhere. Okay.
You got it, man. Steve, man, it's been another great episode. Appreciate you coming on
Yep.
as usual. And we'll catch up soon, man.
You got it. Thanks, Chuck.
Enjoy the rest of the day, buddy. Have a great
You
weekend.
too. Take care.
See you. Everybody.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.